Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And today we're recording our first episode in a while because really the NBA free agency wasn't that interesting. And then there hasn't been a ton of stuff going on.
And classes have started.
You know, I'm in college and Aditya's in his second year of a engineering / pre-med degree.
Chemical engineering and pre-med.
Yeah, so not a lot of spare time. If there is spare time, we're probably like playing video games or something.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started with some of the news. I've got the Wisconsin Penn State football game on the TV. Football's back. It's 0-0 in the third quarter. So that's really fun.
I thought the game just started.
No.
Oh. Well, that's not great.
Yeah, so we'll be watching that passively in the background while we talk about this. So first up, Luka Doncic, the story of the NBA season.
Yes. It's crazy though, like how I guess it's been like this for a while now, where NBA fans, like, if they don't see you recording yourself working out, they don't think you are. Like, all the comments are like, "Oh, Jason Tatum's putting in all this work in the gym."
Dude, that Celtics fan that was like, what did he say? It was like something so lame.
It was about how Jason Tatum's gonna be better because he puts in work while Luka's just relaxing.
Yeah, it was like Luka Doncic versus Jason off-season workout Tatum.
Scored.
Hey, Penn State scored.
It was like he was wide open.
Yeah.
But
7-0 now.
6-0. They gotta hit the field.
That's true.
But yeah, anyway. So it's the same thing with like Damian Lillard every year, where if he tweets something, they're like, "Bro, hit the gym." Like,
yeah.
I don't know if people know this. The body needs to recover.
Yeah, you can't just be playing basketball for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, you cannot work out every single breathing moment of your life.
Yeah, it's wild. I think it's just that, you know, like Celtics fans have it really rough. You know, they only have 17 championships to hold on to.
Think about it, though. They have like, one in the last 20 years.
10 Hall of Famers. Like 20 Hall of Famers.
Most Celtics fans aren't 60 to 70 years old, so for them it's
That's
like,
true, but like if the Pacers had even like 6 NBA championships and all of them were won before 1980, like Pacers fans would never shut up about it. Right?
I mean, it depends on the Pacers team now is nothing to brag about.
No, I know, but like that's
the Celtics
that's what
have
I mean.
A pretty good team. Like, the Celtics have pretty good teams consistently since. Like,
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, championships are championships. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm sure that like there are Steelers fans that have only ever seen like maybe 1 or 2 championships while they've been watching football and like conscious, and they still are like, 6 rings.
Yeah, probably.
Suck my balls.
There's definitely people that do that, but it's like
Bulls fans.
Well, those were in the 90s, so
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, there are Bulls fans that are our age that have never seen a Bulls championship, or even like close to one, and they're like, 6 rings though. MJ's the GOAT.
That's true.
Like,
yeah. It's very fair. But yeah, Celtics fans, relax. Luka's still gonna drop 60 on your team, so that's okay. And he'll make it further in the playoffs than you guys. So.
Also, big Celtics news. They traded away the dynamic duo of Carson Edwards and Taco Fall in the last couple days. Well, they let Taco walk, and they traded Carson Edwards.
Big losses for the Celtics. They're really going to miss that when they make it to the playoffs. Those were big rotation guys for them. And I like Carson Edwards because he went to Purdue and...
Ryan does not like Carson Edwards.
Why?
We were just Ryan and I were talking about it in Chicago, and he was like, Carson Edwards like sucks. He's never had an efficient shooting game since he's been in the NBA.
Well, yeah, he's not a good NBA player, but what he did in college was great. You know,
it was so funny. Because I think it was maybe Jalen that was like, no, Carson Edwards is really good. And Ryan was like, no, he's not. He's never shot above like 40% from the field in a single NBA game.
It's true, but he did.
And then we look at his game logs and it's like 2 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 8,
but
3 of 4.
He did have that one like summer league or preseason game or whatever it was where he put up like 20 points in the third quarter or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But no, he's not a great NBA player. But he had a good college career, and I like him. So.
Yeah. So, you want to go sit through some of the more recent trades, or do you just want to start with the biggest off-season acquisitions?
let's just go big, you know?
Yeah.
And then we can do the recent ones at the end. DeMar DeRozan is on the Bulls.
DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Are on the Bulls.
I don't know how much I like that. Because...
What?
Yeah, because, dude, DeMar can't play off the ball.
I think the Lonzo signing is, like, probably the best signing.
I like the Lonzo signing. I'm not as high on the DeMar signing. Because now you have Lonzo, who, while he can shoot the 3-ball, you know, is mostly a facilitator. That's what you pay him to do. You got Zach LaVine, who's, at this point, I would say pretty used to playing with the ball in his hands for most of his career. And now DeMar, who is the same way. Just a not as good 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I think the Bulls had kind of, like, by far the best free agency / offseason period of any team. Like, I think that they went from, like, a not playoff team to a very easily, like, low-level contender, like the Pacers of a couple years ago with, like, Sabonis and Oladipo. Maybe a little better than those teams.
I think they're a playoff team, but they also have one of the worst defenses in the entire NBA still.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make a playoff push or anything, but I can definitely see them being like a...
Their coach is Billy Donovan, right?
Yeah.
That's
I'm not
weird.
super hot on him either. Especially
Better
after
than
last year. Yeah, I mean, better than... Dude, I'm better than Boylan as a coach. Because I won't say, hey, I'm your coach, listen to me, you idiots. Run
That's
suicides.
true.
Because that's common sense.
Yeah, I don't love that defense either. However, you know me. I am a big Pat Williams believer.
Yes.
I think he's awesome, and I think he's
You said he's going to be a future MVP.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I did not
You
say
did.
that.
Yes, you did.
No, I did
I'm
not.
telling you, you said...
I did not say he was
You
going to
did.
be a future MVP. I guarantee.
I
you. I don't
guarantee
say
you.
that about rookies that aren't like Cade Cunningham.
You said it, man, not me. All right?
You're lying. I did not say that.
Dude, I am not
I
lying.
think I said that he has the physical attributes to be like kind of like Kawhi. But I never said he was going to be a future
Look,
MVP.
you
I think
said
I might have thrown around like all NBA. I don't really say that about like young guys though, unless it's like
said it about Pat Williams. So
I did not. This is ridiculous. I am being my name is being lied on. I am being falsely accused of saying that Pat Williams is a future MVP.
it's not false.
I didn't.
You did. It's in
Regardless, I think Pat Williams is going to be really good. I think he's going to take another step up this year. And look, like we all know, wing defense isn't super important. Like if individual wing defense isn't super important. So I'd probably rather have Vucevic take the next step up as a defender than Pat Williams.
Do you think they slide him to the 4 or move
Vooch.
DeMar to the 4? Pat
They
Williams.
have the 5. Oh, Vooch at the 5, Williams at the 4,
Yeah.
DeMar at the 3, or DeMar at the 3, Williams at the 4. I think Pat Williams is going to be guarding the opposite team's best player every night, unless it's at the center.
I could see them running, not necessarily small ball, because Vooch, Patrick Williams, and DeMar are all pretty big, but like a very fast-moving offense, because like Vooch can shoot the 3. He's pretty fast for a center. DeMar at the 4 would be, again, pretty fast. So I could see
DeMar is an undersized 4 with
Yes.
a faster release, better jump
when you guys
shot
got
than those 4s.
when you got guys like Zach LaVine who are really young and stuff, you can let them run around a lot. Like
Yeah.
it'll be like the Kings a few years ago before they fired Dave Yeager and became the 3rd slowest team in the league. You remember that one? But I think it'll be kind of like that, not to the extent because De'Aaron Fox is an insane athlete, but
yeah, they don't have a De'Aaron Fox.
yeah,
to
but
push
you know
the
what I
pace.
mean. They'll have hopefully
Yeah.
a faster pace. I don't
Yeah.
want to see them running a 20-second offense.
Where do you think Kobe White fits in on that team now?
6-man. They might trade him because he's young and he has some potential. He had a sophomore slump season, so I feel like a lot of people have kind of given up on him. But I think he can bounce back and be a good 6-man and rotate, like share minutes with Lonzo. Because I don't think Lonzo's the guy that's going to go out there and play 40 minutes a game.
Do you think Kobe White is worth a first-round pick from a contender? Like a team like I guess probably not the Nets, but like maybe the Clippers.
I think they could use him. I mean, he's a good scorer, but I think he still needs to develop. And again, I think his trade stock is at close to an all-time low after last season. So I think a contender could definitely use him and could be willing to give up a first, but I don't see it being super likely unless it's like the Clippers don't have many firsts to give up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like they're gonna be pretty conservative with them, but
Yeah.
you know,
I guess they did just kind of trade for like 2 guards in the draft this year. Like their draft was like, I think Jason Preston, another guard, and like a small forward or something like that.
yeah. But I think I do want to keep him at least for another year or two, and see if he can bounce back and have a good like 6-man role on the team. But again, I don't think like 2 years ago I was like, oh, he's gonna be pretty good, like a centerpiece of the rebuild. Now, not so much.
Other free agency moves. I saw somebody call the Lakers LAARP yesterday.
That's pretty funny.
Hey,
They have Malik Monk.
And I am generally of the opinion that the Lakers are both a super team and concerningly old.
I think they're a team that could either be a super team or a flop. Do you remember when the Lakers put together that
team, the Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, Kobe team?
I feel like this could be one of the, like a little better because they have AD and LeBron, but similar in the mold.
Yeah, I think that if was Steve Nash like really a top 10 player or a top 20 player in 2012, or was he already kind of like regressing?
I think he was regressing, but he was still a pretty.
Because I don't feel like current Westbrook is like 2012 Steve Nash. Because Steve Nash was like what, 37?
He was 38, but so you gotta remember, Steve Nash got better with 8. Like he didn't have his best season until like 31 years old.
He did, but that doesn't mean that he was like still that guy at 38.
He wasn't a top 5 point guard, but he was probably
That's
a top
true.
10
He does have a
point guard.
weird peak because he was like, his best years were like 28 to 36.
Yeah, I don't think he was a top 5, but I'd say he was probably a top 10.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I think I still do consider Westbrook a top 20, 25 player, and I think regardless of age, if you have 3 guys who are all top 20 to 25 players, that's a super team.
Yeah.
The problem is those guys are 36, turning 37 this year, 29 but made of glass, 32, and then Carmelo Anthony, who's 37, turning 38 this year.
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan, who sucks, but is also
he's
like
expected
34.
to sign there, but he is not. I don't think he's officially signed, but he probably will. I mean,
who else they got?
I'll pull up their roster.
But then it's like I saw something where it's like THT and Malik Monk are 20 and 24, and then everybody else is over 30. Like Malik Monk and THT are the 2 players that are keeping their average age under the oldest team of all time.
Malik Monk had his best games in Charlotte when he was on cocaine. You cannot tell me Los Angeles cocaine is not going to have a bigger impact.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of... I don't know. I think Malik Monk is fine.
All right, I got their roster. They have Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Kent Bazemore,
Trevor Ariza, who's 36,
Anthony
Kent Bazemore,
Davis,
who's 32.
Wayne Ellington.
80's 29, but he's, in terms of health, like a 34 or a 35-year-old.
Wayne Ellington's 33. Marc Gasol is 36. Dwight Howard is 35.
Jesus.
LeBron's 36. Wesley Matthews is 34. Malik Monk is 23. Kendrick Nunn is 26. Rondo is 35. Westbrook is 32. So a lot of high 30s over there.
Yeah, that is that's really concerning, I think. I don't know, because I'm still kind of in the mode where I'm like, I don't think it's smart to bet on a team that has LeBron to do anything other than make the finals. But I'm also like, that team's old.
Well,
LeBron's old.
The last 3 years.
Well, yeah, but one of those years LeBron was injured for half the year, and the other year
he was injured for most of the season.
Yeah,
who's to say that doesn't happen again?
Well, I know, but it's just I gotta get it out of my system and I don't think I will until he's like very clearly not still a top 5 player. Yeah, I guess you could make the argument that he's not right now, but it's very much a gray area, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, am I really gonna bet on a team or bet against a team that's got him and then also Anthony Davis, who's also never healthy? Like, everything in my mind tells me that the Lakers are gonna be like the probably 3 seed in the West and like a Western Conference Finals team at their peak.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like, well, I mean, they got LeBron. Like, they're gonna go to the championship and get their ass kicked by the Nets.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what LeBron teams do.
They get to the
they
finals.
Lose to super teams in the finals. Yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely weird. I don't know. I don't feel like I should pick against them, but then I'm like, whenever I want to pick against them, then I'm like, yeah, but like if they were healthy last year, they'd probably at least go to the finals. Like, but then they weren't healthy, so like, how can I realistically assume that they are going to be healthy?
Right.
But then I also like, if you're making assumptions based on thinking somebody's going to be injured, like, that's not fun for predictions. Like,
it's not fun for predictions, but you can be a little more accurate with them, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, Lakers are. I mean, they're definitely. I don't want to say definitely because last season they weren't, but I think they're top 4 seed. I don't know how.
They were the 1 seed until AD and LeBron got hurt, like at the exact same time, which I do think we should keep in mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like those were probably the worst timing on injuries that I've ever seen. Like if they had gone from AD being injured to doing like 5 games without like LeBron being injured, and then AD comes back like 5 games later, so then they have just AD.
Mm-hmm.
But they went, I think it was like a solid 15, 20 games where they didn't have either of them.
Yeah.
And they were bad.
Their roster wasn't built to succeed at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, he's been pretty healthy throughout his entire career, so even if LeBron and AD both go down, you got at least someone. You know?
Yeah.
Someone that's known to carry bad teams to a few wins.
Yeah, and also somebody who's not known to ever get injured, right? Russell Westbrook.
Nope, never got
Russell Westbrook has never been hurt before. Yeah, so it's just like, you know, logically, this doesn't, like, if it was anybody else, like, if it was, like, a team that was made up of, like, Kevin Durant in 3 years, like, I don't know, Kevin Durant, like, I don't know, because if it was a team made of, like, a really great older player, like a superstar who's about to enter his 30s, and then another really good player, I'd be like, but they all had the exact same injury history, I'd be like, but since it's LeBron, I'm like, yeah, but it's LeBron. I don't know.
I mean, dude, LeBron's all we know. He's been dominating the league since I was born.
There really is going to be, like, a generation of it. We're probably the very beginning of it. But there's probably a generation of NBA fans that are, like, between the ages of 10 and 20 that when he retires, we're going to be like, so what do we do now? Like,
so, who's making the finals, guys?
Ooh, like, that was... Remember that one time the not LeBron teams played each other? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Other than that, let's see. The Mets signed Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge. Or has that one been confirmed yet? I'm not sure.
Paul Millsap has been confirmed, I believe, and I think Aldridge is close to confirmed, if not already.
Okay. So, yeah, they got some more old guys for their bench.
Yeah, that team just got significantly better, I'll say it. That team was... The biggest downfall
start, actually.
Of that team is 1, health, and 2, depth. And they kind of fixed their depth. Like, they get... let me pull up their roster, actually, because I know that they got... They made a couple moves that I was like, oh. Like, they got... They kept their first-round pick this year somehow. I don't know how that happened. They kept Blake Griffin. That was one of them. Yeah, so they've got... They traded for Sekou Doumbouya.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, like, pretty decent last year, I feel like. Like, all the Pistons fans were like, good luck with that. He is not a finished product yet. And
I think he came into the league very raw.
Yeah. Yeah, so they get Patty Mills, and Cam Thomas, Cam Thomas was their big addition through the draft. Day'Ron Sharpe was another guy that they got. I don't know if he went undrafted or not. He might have. But yeah, they get Cam Thomas, who's like kind of a beast. He was in the draft this year. He was nice in college. They get Day'Ron Sharpe, and then they go out and they get Patty Mills. They keep Blake Griffin. They retain... I think they kept Bruce Brown. Or did they not keep Bruce Brown? They might not have. I think they kept Nick Claxton, who was a decent, okay piece for them last year. And
sucked in the playoffs, though.
Yeah. So they add Patty Mills. They add Paul Millsap. They add Aldridge. And Aldridge was good for them last year in the, 4 games he played.
Mm-hmm.
And then they keep Blake Griffin. So now they've got probably a 7-man rotation, plus Joe Harris, maybe Bruce Brown. So, 9 guys who I think are playable professional basketball players right now.
Yeah. They also still have Steve Nash, which I don't know if I'm a fan of.
I don't think Steve Nash is a very good coach.
I don't either. The playoffs showed that.
I think Steve Kerr wins that series with just Kevin Durant, maybe. Or maybe like Steve Kerr makes decisions that don't lead to Kyrie Irving and James Harden getting hurt. Like,
well, that's all. I mean, Kyrie Irving is unpredictable because he's had a pretty long
but I felt like
history.
there were points where James Harden should not have been playing in the playoffs last year. Like, I know that he really wanted to play, but there were like, I think it was like game 6 where he was very obviously hurt. Like, he comes back really early in that series. He's very obviously hurt. And he's like on the floor while the Bucks are blowing them out. And I'm like, why is he here? Like,
yeah.
He should be playing only when the game is close.
Yeah.
And if he needs to play 40 minutes, that's that. But like, he should be only playing when the game is winnable for the Nets. And if they're down by 10 points or more, he should be off the floor.
Well, 10 points is still a winnable comeback. Like, I think
kind of, but not like in the like. I mean,
teams go on runs all the time.
They do. But Kevin Durant's also enough. I made this chart where I was like, he was almost enough against the Bucks. I made this chart
a little smaller.
I made this chart where I was like, what the score feels like when Kevin Durant's on the floor versus what it actually is, and it's like, if the other team's up 10, it feels like they're only up 5 because Kevin Durant's on the floor. Like, that's how it felt that series. And it was almost like James Harden was just kind of there, and like he was very obviously hurt. Like, I remember
in the game, what was it? What, did you play game 5 and 6 when he was hurt?
And 7, I think.
And 7, yeah, he just looked bad. Like, he's part of the reason.
I remember game 7, people were like, "Oh, Mickey Harden like has another terrible playoff." Like, I think he went like 6 of 18 or something in game 7, and I was like, guys, he is like. I know this is just furthering your anti-Harden agenda, which I understand. Whatever. Like, we all got agendas, but I was like, he is very obviously hobbled. Like, yeah. He looks like if like Michael Jordan tried to play basketball today.
He's playing on one leg.
Yeah, he was kind of out of shape too because he hadn't been playing basketball for a couple days or for like a week, and then he was like not able to walk. And I was like, okay, guys, like really, are we doing this really?
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
So, I think that the Nets still could very easily lose. Like, I don't think that they kind of felt like an unbeatable team last year when they got everybody. They don't really feel like that this year because
they were defeated.
Because they were defeated, and they were defeated, like, in a way where I'm like, that could very easily happen again this year. Like, it wasn't like, oh, the Bucks, like, it wasn't like Giannis, like, kicked Kyrie in the knee and he tore his ACL. It was like, Kyrie was jumping up for a loose ball and he tripped on Giannis's foot. And then James Harden re-aggravated a hamstring injury that was bothering him all year. And then Kevin Durant played 15 games all season.
Yeah.
And then that all culminated in them looking like a force to be reckoned with in the first round when they were playing a bad team. And then when they played a good team, everybody had to try harder. And when they try harder, they get hurt because they're all over 30. Yeah. And so, I would not be surprised if they won the championship, I'll say that, but it's also like, I would also not be surprised if they were a second round exit again because there are just so many, like, injury variables with that team that I'm kind of, like, worried about, I think.
Yeah. I agree with you. They definitely are. I think they're the favorite for me, but if they lost again, I'd be like, well.
Yeah, I would say that I'd probably lean towards them being the favorite. Yeah.
In other news, Lauri Markkanen is a Cleveland Cavalier.
Yeah, that was a really bad trade for Cleveland, I think.
I agree. But my Cleveland hoodies come in. I'm a fan now. I'm a Cavs fan.
Let me look up what that trade was. Because I want to just make sure we have all the details right.
It was, I think they gave up Larry Nance in a first. And Portland was in there somewhere, I think.
Yes. So, they've acquired Lauri Markkanen in a sign-and-trade agreement with Chicago. Larry Nance Jr. to Portland. Protected second-round pick to Chicago. Wait. The Bulls also received Derek Jones Jr. from Portland and the Trailblazers lottery-protected 2022 first.
Okay. I like Derek Jones Jr. He's a good defender.
Yeah, he's all right. I would say the Bulls kind of like they get a second round pick, which is whatever. But you know, if it's a draft, like there were some second round picks this year that I thought were good. Like they're not completely not valuable.
They got a first, even though it's lottery protected.
They got a first. It's lottery protected in 2022, and then, but in 2023, like if Portland was somehow in the lottery this year, which I don't really see,
unless Dame leaves, then I could see that being a pretty valuable first round pick in 2023, especially if Dame leaves. Yeah.
Like if in order for that to be a really good asset, they would have to miss the playoffs, which I think would seal their fate with losing Dame. Then Dame leaves, and then their poverty, and
then
they
you
don't
get
have
their
their
2023.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like Larry Nance is not horrible. Portland gets him, and Derek Jones Jr. goes to Chicago. He gives them some depth. I don't think Larry Markkinen is that good. He's fine, but he's always hurt.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid like $67 million, was it? Like it was kind of a lot of dollars.
It was a good chunk of dollars for sure.
Yeah.
Let me check. When did this happen? Like a week ago?
It was like 5 days ago, I think. Maybe I think it was like Monday.
Okay. I'll scroll and see if I can find it. 4 years, $67 million. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. That is a lot of money for him. And we were also talking about how the Cavs don't have a single player that's like between the heights of 6'3" and 6'10". Like all of their players. Oh yeah, they got Isaac Okoro, who's like 6'5", and then everybody else on that team, like Chetty Osman is the next shortest guy. I think he's like 6'10" maybe. And then they got like Jared Allen,
Lowry, Kevin Love,
Taco Fall,
their draft
Evan
guy.
Mobley, and then like not Vanderbilt. He went to Vanderbilt, but that's not his name. Garland and Sexton are both like 6'2".
I hope they trade Sexton. As a fan of the Cavaliers now, I think it's in the best interest of their team to trade Sexton unless he wants to be a sixth man.
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as the guy that's... I mean, he'll put up an inefficient 20 and do nothing else, which isn't great.
Yeah. I think that it would be better if they just kind of made Evan Mobley like their centerpiece because he's like...
And I like Garland.
He's an absurd player. Like, he's really crazy. I'm excited to watch him in the NBA this year.
I like Garland, though. He had
Garland's
a good
nice.
season.
Garland's nice, and he's not as ball dominant as Sexton is.
Yeah.
Really, I don't think there's anybody that's as ball dominant
The problem with Sexton is, like, I wouldn't mind him on the team, but he wants a lot of money, and I don't see him being better than a sixth man on, like, a winning team. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Cavs fans, you have the best player in the league, Larry Markkinen. So
yeah, so feel lucky.
Yeah, he's gonna bring Cleveland another ring. So
yes. And what else we got? Oh, Pat Beverly.
Where did he end? I know he was traded like 4 times in 2 days.
He got traded to Memphis, and then he got traded to Minnesota.
So is he still on Minnesota?
I think so, and I think Minnesota traded like Jarrett Culver for him, which thank God, by the way, for shout out Jarrett Culver.
Bro, I mean, I'm sure there have been players, but in recent memory, I can't think of a top 10 player that was given up on so quickly.
He was like the 6th overall pick.
Yeah, and they within like the first year, they're like, yeah, I don't.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, he's not very good. We got to get rid of him.
And like, it's one thing if he actually sucked, but he was like not like it wasn't like he was like so inefficient and just like a complete net negative on the court. Like he was all right. Like yeah. I didn't think he seemed particularly like the worst.
He wasn't great, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Bad, like
it was like how are you realistically gonna say that this guy is like how can you realistically completely give up on this guy?
And it's hard for a guy to develop when his franchise says, yeah, we don't want you here anymore. You know, go do your own thing.
Yeah.
You've got more important players to work with.
Yeah, I think Memphis is going to be kind of sneaky good.
Got Carson Edwards.
They got Carson Edwards. I liked their 10th overall pick, kind of. Like, he's the guy that Noah hates.
Who is it?
Zaire. I think his name's Zaire Smith?
Zaire Williams?
Maybe that's it.
Zaire Wade is not it, I'm assuming.
No, Zaire Williams. He's like, yeah, that's his name, Zaire Williams. He's like enormous. Like he's 6'8", and he kind of plays like a guard. Like he was not good in college, but I don't think that necessarily means he's not a good player. Period.
Yeah.
And they didn't draft him because he was good in college. They drafted him because he's kind of a crazy athlete and he could develop into a good player. So I kind of liked that pick. And then they got Trey J. They obviously have future league MVP John Morant. And then they got Dylan Brooks, who I like.
They got rid of Jonas Valanciunas, which I think he's pretty good. So
yeah, that did hurt. I don't think Steven Adams is all that great. Like I guess he's fine, but
he's an alright player. I think he's one of those guys where he'll set hard screens, fight for rebounds. And
he's gonna give you a very consistent 12 and 10. But if you ask him to do more than that, he's gonna be like, "Oh no, mate."
He's also like one of the nicest guys ever.
He is one of the
I'm
nicest
reading
guys
his book that he wrote about his journey to the NBA and stuff right now.
Isn't he one of like 18 siblings or something?
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so if anyone wants a good read, Steven Adams wrote a book. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But he's like one of the nicest guys. But he's, as far as NBA talent goes, he's pretty middle of the pack for centers.
Yeah.
Again, he'll hustle. He'll put in work, but he's not more than
He's like the 15th best center in the league, probably.
Yeah, he's average.
Yeah. So yeah.
The only other thing I can think of to cover, the 76ers.
Oh my god, dude. I'm
so
glad that. How much more time do we have? Like 10 minutes?
About 5 to 10 minutes.
Let's talk about this.
Two reports came out with the Warriors. The first was that on draft day they offered Ben Simmons for Wiggins, Wiseman, the 7th and the 14th pick.
And that was
to
like
which the Warriors,
Shams, I think.
Which the Warriors hung up immediately because that's too much. And that was on draft night.
I think I might have done that.
No.
Wiggins, Wiseman in the 7th and the 14th?
Yeah. For Ben Simmons? After the season he just had?
I might have done that with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Like Steph Curry.
What? No. First of
Look,
all, Andrew Wiggins alone is going to play pretty good defense and score 15 to 18 points for you. James Wiseman is going into his second year. He's a young guy. He's a center that you can trade for something else.
Here's my thing. I would have traded... I was talking about this on my TikTok, but I would have traded Wiseman and then the 7th and the 14th for, like, Siakam. And I don't think there's that much of a talent gap. Like, I know, like, Ben Simmons is fun to clown on. I don't think he's very great either. He's definitely overpaid. I don't think there's that much of a difference between Simmons and Siakam. And there's also zero risk to that trade because you're not giving up future assets. You're giving up 2 first-round picks this year.
Look at the players they drafted.
And your first-round pick last year. Moody and Kuminga?
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good.
They could be.
Popped off in summer
they could
league.
be, but Kuminga is also like one of the most raw players in the entire draft
Popped
this
off
year.
in summer league, and he got his own nickname.
Yeah, but I mean, who else popped off in the summer league? Like
I didn't watch it.
Did Jello Ball popped off in the summer.
Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell, but he's like
Jello
a top
didn't
pick.
pop off. He had
like an 8-point game, which is better than he would probably have in any other league in the world.
8 points a game, and every single one of those 8 points was posted on SportsCenter, so everyone thought he did really good or something.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, I mean, who pops off in the summer league? Like
the cum bucket.
Okay, I mean, like it's the summer league, like.
And even then, if you could trade those 2 picks and Wiseman for Siakam, I don't think throwing in Wiggins is worth Ben Simmons. Like, I would do that trade for Ben Simmons, maybe, and like Maxey, and then throw in Wiggins on top of it.
I guess I am underrating Wiggins because he was a pretty consistent bucket for them last year.
And he turned into a pretty good defender, actually.
Yeah, he
was a good defender.
I don't know. It's just like
he's not an all-star.
It's just like I know it's like my brand. Like I clown Ben Simmons probably more than anybody else, but like I feel like Steph Curry and Klay like can fix him. like if anybody can fix him, it's the greatest shooter of all time and like another top 5 shooter of all time, and both of them are like two of the greatest off-ball movers in the entire league. Like,
no, they can definitely get him a role, but I don't think they could get him to be worth that package.
yeah, I mean, I also am kind of the opinion that if you have, like, a guy like Curry or a guy like LeBron, and you can get a good player, it's okay to overpay a little bit in a trade.
I don't think that's worth it, though. Like, if you're trying to contend, I'd rather have those four guys
But,
than Ben
like,
Simmons.
do you really think that Moody and Kuminga are going to be developed enough into players that are better than Ben Simmons? Because Ben Simmons is still, like, as fun to clown him.
No,
he
he's
is
a very
still
good
a good player.
Don't get me wrong. But
Like,
what
you think
even
that
if you
Moody
can't-
and Kuminga are going to develop into players who are equal to the value that Ben Simmons would
Even
provide?
if you
I don't think
can't,
so.
just trading Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman can get you someone that A, fits the team better than Ben Simmons, and B, is probably of the same caliber or slightly better than Ben Simmons. And then you don't have to throw in Wiggins. You can still keep him. Like,
Yeah. I don't know, it's just like, I mean, the 7th and the 14th, like, how much value does the 14th overall pick in the
and
draft?
this year's
right now?
draft's pretty good. Like, these
Yeah.
past few drafts have been relatively deep.
Last year was not, really.
Right, yeah, that's fair. But, like, as far as, like, this past draft was pretty deep. Even if they weren't, like, all NBA MVP guys, they were guys that can be pretty good starters and potentially, like, one-time All-Stars.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know, it's just like, it was like, I don't know if I would have done that package, but I definitely don't think it's not a package that I'm hanging up on somebody for offering.
You gotta think, like, that's the package that they reported on. I would assume it probably, like, Daryl Morey seems, so far with these Ben Simmons trades, like, he's not willing to negotiate very much. So I'm assuming that was, like, the final offer after negotiations.
Yeah.
Because the other report...
Yeah, the other one is one I would have hung up on.
The other report
Absolutely.
from Anthony Slater, who covers the Warriors and NBA for The Athletic and is followed by Shams and Woj, so seems like a pretty reliable source,
Yes.
says that Daryl Morey wanted nothing less than Steph Curry or Klay Thompson for Ben Simmons.
Which those are kind of conflicting reports, I will say.
I'm assuming this is
Because one of them is
post-draft.
he wants nothing.
Right.
Oh,
I'm
that's
assuming
true.
this is post-draft. Because the other report was on draft night. I'm assuming this is, like, more recent. Ben Simmons, or even just for Klay Thompson.
Ben Simmons for Klay Thompson swap would be horrible.
Yeah, and then you want Steph Curry, the guy who would have been the MVP if the Warriors were higher than the 8th seed last year.
Yeah, like
come on.
a guy like a top 10 player all time coming off of his best
the
career
best
season.
point guard in the NBA for a borderline Eastern Conference All-Star. No.
Yeah, no.
What?
No. It's ridiculous. They would have I don't know if I even would have done that for like Simmons and Embiid. Like
Yeah, no.
that's an insane trade.
Yeah.
And those are both deals that I would have hung up on Daryl Morey for.
Yes.
So yeah, Daryl Morey still wants too much for Ben Simmons. Our last episode was like a month ago.
But there was a report that Ben Simmons doesn't want to be there anymore. Shocker. Getting your name traded to just about every team in the NBA.
I wouldn't want to be in Philadelphia either
Yeah.
if I was a
I
professional athlete in any sport.
Yeah, but like, he said he doesn't want to be there anymore, and there's reports that he's not going to come to training camp.
He's ghosting everybody, which that's a power move for a dude that is coming
Has
off
no
of
leverage.
the most embarrassing playoff run I've ever seen.
Yeah.
By a not
Role
bench
play,
player.
Yeah.
Like by a guy who's a supposed star on his team. Like
Yeah.
it's cute that he thinks he has the leverage here because he doesn't. He doesn't have any leverage. Like
They're probably better off if they don't play him.
Yeah.
Honestly.
like
don't know if
Tyrese
he's-
Maxey might be more valuable to that offense than Ben Simmons is.
Yeah, they kept Seth Curry, right? So
Yeah.
keep him on the floor.
Like I don't know. It's just like, come on, dude. Like, do you really? You're not James Harden. Sorry. Like
the Sixers.
I know that
think he
Daryl
is,
Morey
so.
thinks you are, but you're not. You don't have that sort of leverage where you can just hold out. Like,
Yeah. This isn't the NFL either, where I mean, I guess you can just do that, but in the NFL, I think it's a little more.
in the NFL, players don't hold out like they do in the NBA, though. Like Deshaun Watson is a weird
Well,
scenario.
Deshaun Watson's not holding out. He's under
he
trial.
was holding out before the sexual
Well, I know,
assault
like-
stuff came out.
I know, like Melvin Gordon held out, and
Melvin
Alvin
Gordon,
Kamara
running
was
backs-
talking about holding out.
Running backs do it a little bit because their shelf life as a position is so much less than other players. So they want to sign a second NFL contract quicker than the NFL usually allows them to.
Okay.
So, like, usually rookie contracts are 3 or 4 years, and then the most value a running back has in, like, his first 4 years.
Yeah.
So, a lot of running backs will hold out after their second year to try to restructure and get a better deal.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense for them to do money-wise. But those are really, like, skill position players are really the only players that tend to hold out. And usually NFL holdouts get resolved quickly. James Harden, like, you can think of a guy like James Harden who held out, like, that's a lot more common in the
Anthony
NBA.
Davis.
Holding out or requesting a trade. Like, that is a more common thing in the NBA. Deshaun Watson's kind of one of the first, like, huge major players that I can think that's, like, really requested a trade and been willing to hold out.
Well, I think he's willing to hold out because he's been requesting a trade since last year, and the Texans are like, no, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Keep you around.
Yeah.
You can throw to Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins, baby. A third-round wide receiver. So, yeah, is that it?
I think so.
Ben Simmons, you're dumb. Sixers, you are also dumb.
The Sixers, I think, I think Ben Simmons, I can understand if you've been offered to every team in the NBA not wanting to play for that team anymore.
Yeah.
But, like, Daryl Morey, chill out. Maybe Elton Brand wasn't the problem, because I don't think he would have done that.
Yeah.
I think he would be a little more reasonable with his trade packages.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully by the next time we record, there will be a big trade that we can laugh at.
Yeah. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If there's more, we'll have more regular episodes once the NBA season starts.
Yeah.
But like the off season is just not super fun to cover. Like,
unless it's one where half the NBA is free agents.
Exactly. Oh yeah, Kawhi resigned. That's the one. That's the big one. That's the big guy that everybody was like.
Everyone saw coming, but it's fun to hypothesize. Like, oh, what if he goes to this team or this team, or oh, he could be unhappy with Paul George. What if he leaves?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't even talk about the Knicks. Their major free agent signings: Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker.
Yeah, big moves for the Knicks.
Dude, I follow a Knicks fan on Twitter. It's like, we're going to be a top 5 team in the East this year again.
They were last year.
I know, but I'm like, yeah, but like also the Bulls got significantly better.
Even if you're a top 5 team, you got embarrassed by Trae Young. I mean, he shut down Madison Square Garden.
Trae Young tweeted yesterday, he was like, so when are we going to talk
that
about
was so lame.
Drake being better than Hove?
God.
And like a Knicks fan retweeted it, and they were like, how does it feel to know that you're going to get booed at Madison Square Garden for the rest of your life? And I was like...
No one cares. I mean, he already shut him down.
I don't even think Trae Young knows he has beef with Knicks fans. Like, I think that's how little real estate you guys have in that dude's mind. Like, he does not care. Yeah. Which is so funny that, like, the entirety of the biggest city in America hates him, and he's like, what are we going to talk about Drake being better than Hove?
See, Trae Young's one of those guys where, like, he's cocky, but I like it. I like cockiness in general, but I feel like he's a special case because he doesn't let anything get to his head because of that arrogance, which I think is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's like, I do, especially like just that he is going against the Knicks.
Yeah. The Knicks fans were good for the first time in 20 years, or like 10 years, and they're like, we are a dynasty waiting to happen. And then Trae Young's like, shut the fuck up.
I don't think so.
Shut up. I'm gonna do the shushy face in your home arena, bow to your crowd, and beat you in 5 games. Dude, awesome. I love Trae Young so much. He's so sick. All right, we gotta go.
I gotta leave. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Bye.
Bye.